All right. Thanks so much for joining me, Andrew. Can you just tell us a little bit more about who you are and what your business does?
Yep, sure. So my name is Andrew Glinsos. I've been involved in the SEO industry now for 13 years, and my business focuses on providing exclusive digital marketing services, in particular SEO and social media, on an exclusive level. So we don't actually work with our clients' competitors, and we want to stay small for that reason. Like, we just don't want to have a huge amount of clientele. We just want to be more of a boutique agency and provide Australia's best in SEO.
It's awesome. So for those just starting out in business, because a lot of people starting out and listening to my podcast are, entrepreneurs or business owners that, are probably a little bit new to SEO. So can you just break it down a little bit for the everyday person to understand what SEO is?
Yeah, sure. So search engine optimization is a process of virtually improving your search engine rankings on Google and on Bing and on the other little minor search engines that no one ever cares about. So in particular, whatever people are searching for, let's say it's LCD TVs, you want to be ranking on the first page, and you're on that first page, you probably want to be ranking in the top 3 positions, because 4th, 5th down to 10th is the drop in clicks is substantial. So you really want to be able to build a backlink profile. You want to, which I'll get into later on, but you actually want to improve your domain authority and user experience to get you on the first page for as many related and targeted keywords as possible.
Yeah, I guess that really sums it up in a nutshell. Get on Google so people will find you, essentially.
All right.
So what do you think are some of the best ways to reach good to great SEO?
Good SEO would always be SEO that's providing a return on investment based on the amount of input you're putting in. And great SEO will crush those numbers, but also think more along the lines, which I'll get into, of user experience. That is essentially the most important component of the SEO process. So good SEO would be SEO that obviously you're essentially measuring your own SEO success. What you're putting in, what you're getting out is greater than what you're putting in, obviously. But great SEO goes a little bit further and starts getting into more in-depth content marketing strategies, gets more in-depth into user experience, and really engaging highly with a target audience and becoming a thought leader in your space, in a nutshell.
Awesome. So what do you think are some of the steps that, someone just starting out can take to really improve the SEO themselves before they obviously engage in someone to help them, which would probably be something they're looking into investing a little bit further into their business? But what do you think some of the things that they can do now to easily, improve their SEO?
Well, I only get this question asked about 1,000 times a day. So to do your own SEO, really, you just, first and foremost, it's a mindset, right? So you need to start thinking about what makes sense for the customer, and then everything then branches downwards from there. So when you think about the customer, you work out, okay, how can I build my own content? Why should I have a fast website? A lot of what Google's actually trying to do is really providing sites that are going to best serve what their own customers are searching for on Google. So as long as you're starting off with the right mindset, does my website meet the brief and expectations and intent of what my customers are looking for on the website? If they are, then at least you're along the lines of implementing better SEO strategies. So, for example, Google now gives sites that are quick and easy to download on mobile a boost. If the website design looks great on mobile, that also gives you a minor boost. What I tell my clients, whether they're existing clients, previous clients, potential clients, it's a game where we think about the client and the customer first. That's the mindset, and then work out, okay, why should I provide a good user experience? Because Google gives us better rankings on Google. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because then you're always playing catch up to Google. Mm-hmm. So work out, okay, does my website design make sense on mobile for the people that I'm trying to reach? Mm-hmm. So doing your own SEO, obviously, then we'll get into like tips and strategies on how to find content. But Google actually tells you what people are asking for, generally within your industry, if you know how to find it. And first of all, starting off with actually writing content. Look, let's be real. So many sites I see these days have a blog where it's all about the company news.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about Bob getting a promotion. Let me be real. No one cares about the fact that Bob got a promotion in your sales department. No one cares, okay? No one cares about Bob, and definitely no one cares about the fact that Bob got a promotion, right? So, so building your blog to say, okay, does this blog, and even maybe blog is not even the right word sometimes, but having a section on the site where what are the expectations and what questions is my target audience searching for? It might be within, I've got a jewelry client, so that's what's in my head now, right? Mm-hmm. So things like white gold versus platinum. So producing that content on YouTube. And then, so I don't want to get into too specifics until we get into that, but what a lot of misconceptions about SEO is people think of it as a sales tool rather than a marketing tool. There's a big difference between trying to marry my wife on the first date approach to let's sort of build an engagement first. Let's build trust through our content, through what we deliver, what we give, and think about the customer first. So the people that have landed on your website go, I'm getting an experience where this brand feels like they actually care about me. Then that trust barriers increase and the skepticism decreases, and then they're more likely to convert. SEO is definitely a very conversion friendly tool, which what I mean by that is people come to your website and fill out the inquiry form or buy something from you, but it should be used more with the marketing mindset of I'm trying to capture in my targeted audience, build a great experience, and then get them to engage with the site. And engagement's like a first date, right? So I always use the dating analogy because it makes sense, right? So yeah, so normally what I would do is I would go then and reach out and say, okay, to my clients, let's build content that we believe, first, what are people searching for? And then how do we deliver on the experience? How do we get them to ask a question? So engagement can be anything that engages, whether it's it could be a contact form inquiry, could be a live chat start. You just want to build a website that encourages people to make the first contact. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're ready to buy now. So if you're building a content about white gold versus platinum, and we can get into the intricate details of sort of what does great content look like, but then once they're on that site, then allow prompting them, and that content needs to be written and structured. Even you might want to bring in video content from YouTube, but you actually want to do everything you can to try to get that person to either leave a comment, to ask a question, live chat, whatever the case may be. And there's so much I'll go, but I can go on that rabbit trail, but I'll just stop there.
That's awesome, because that is exactly, the things that I tell people all the time. And, SEO it's creating sustainable business. It's creating a long-term strategy for your business to help, boost your brand awareness and convert. So that's awesome. I think that really sums it up. We always get lost with SEO. I love people, and you say this all the time, is people saying, I want to be on page 1 of Google now. And you say that's, it's long term. We can't do it overnight. And you talked about, black hat SEO a lot in some of your content that you've produced, and it's just, there's no quick fix. It's, long-term strategy. And I guess that's where content marketing comes in as well with SEO, and they play hand in hand together. So going into
content marketing. Yep. Sorry.
No, you go.
Content marketing without user experience is like a car without an engine. So if people can't navigate and get a great experience from the website, you can write content till you're blue in the face.
Yeah, of course.
Writing content is definitely a huge part of SEO, as you know.
Yeah.
But I always would place user experience at the top of that list.
Yeah,
and getting the mindset right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, when you touched on asking, engaging with your customers and what they want, I think we always assume, and we create a lot of content on assumption. But without, like you said, that user experience, asking people what they want, doing the research, which I know you've got great tips on that, to actually see what people want to know and what people are asking for, and creating content around that rather than creating content around selling, like you said, and promoting
Yeah.
Bob. So
Yeah, no one cares about Bob. No one
poor
cares.
Bob. So how can people measure whether their SEO is up to scratch or not?
Well, obviously installing tools like Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Look, this is a ton of content out there already
Mm-hmm.
on how to install Google Analytics and how do I even know that I've got Google Analytics installed. Because sometimes developers will build sites and they will either forget to install Google Analytics, or they might install it, but they're not even bothered telling their clients that it is installed.
Yeah.
So first of all, make sure you get Google Analytics installed first, and then locate the organic search tab
Mm-hmm.
within analytics and measure how much organic traffic is your website generating.
Yeah.
And really, it depends how long your site's been around, depends upon how much content and user experience, but really focusing on, okay, what are the goals and objectives do I want to set?
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting to think that this podcast is really central around people that want to sort of do their own SEO sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I would always do exactly. Oops, sorry, I pressed the button. always like work out what your own goals and objectives are. That if you were to work with any SEO, that's really the first important part. You'd be surprised how many SEOs don't have this conversation with their clients.
Mm-hmm.
What does a successful campaign look like for you in 12 months?
Yeah.
If it's not measured, it can't improve.
Mm.
So what are you trying to achieve first and foremost? Where are you at currently? Knowing those stats, knowing how much inquiries that SEO is generating currently. And this is all the micro sort of, and like the micro sort of level, like strategies and research and analysis, but
Mm-hmm.
just working out, okay, how much effort do I need to put in to reach this in 12 months?
Yeah.
And I want to go back just quick on the last question that ties into this is when I was working with another jeweler for 10 years that I don't work with anymore, the reason that we got first for engagement rings, Mariah, wasn't the fact that we sort of focus on that keyword and try to build strategies around that keyword. I focused purely on improving the user experience in that time more than I worried about ranking first for engagement rings.
Yeah.
And so depending on how far along it's because there's so many different answers to this, depending on where the client's at, how aggressive their market is, how long they've been, like how long has their website been up and running. So there's a lot of unknowns that I need to know to provide a more specific answer. But in generally, the amount of like what you should be targeting for is, for most sites, getting on the first page for something like engagement rings is going to take an incredible large amount of time, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even just time; it's where do I put my focus in the short to mid term, and I would focus around long tail volumes. I do this for, it doesn't matter how, you could be Tiffany, I still would produce this strategy anyway. It just makes sense going back to what I said about user experience and searcher intent. But producing a lot of content around engagement rings, a lot of content around wedding rings, and a lot of content that's even long, like how do I clean the engagement ring? There's questions like people ask, should I even propose with it without it? Can I propose without an engagement ring? Which is crazy, but there's a lot of people that search for that. So, I think depending upon where a specific website is, will then determine how important that strategy is.
Yeah.
But I would tell clients, and this is like for everybody to know, like try not to go for the takeaway from this is don't go for the ultra aggressive, the really the big keywords in an industry if you're a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
there's so much questions and content out there for everyone to get a piece of the pie. Don't try to take the whole pie when you're just new to the table.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point that you've touched on. I think we might be we might be trying to generate content around a keyword that's just too heavy. There's just too much traffic around it. And if you think about it, but creating content, as you've said, to actually inform and educate your audience rather than just trying to rank for Google. And you said, you focused just on creating that engagement and creating that, user experience and you know, Google rewards you for that. So I think it's
Absolutely.
really important when we're going for
But
SEO.
why does Google reward you? Not because Google likes you,
Yeah, of
right, or
course.
favors anyone, right? Google favors you because you are delivering on the searcher's intent.
Yeah.
From a Google business model, all they care about is someone going to Google, typing in a keyword, finding what they want, and not clicking back repeatedly. Because if Google supplies us, and this is only going to increase with machine learning and artificial intelligence. But if you click on a search result, you land on a website and you click back, that bothers Google a lot. And when you rank first for a keyword like engagement rings, even though we ranked first for 3 years above Michael Hill, above Tiffany, above Prouds, above the big guys, it wasn't as great as people might think. I bet you it wouldn't be as great as our competitors thought it would be, because when someone clicks on our first, it's very hard to judge their own searcher intent. If we create a piece of content that is like, how do I clean a diamond ring? We can find out their intent really quickly and deliver on that. And then the user experience comes, okay, now they've got their answer, because this can also happen when you're very specific. They get the answer and they leave the site, right? So it's user experience comes in, and design and conversion optimization or whatever comes in, and then looks at how do we get that person to get to the next article without them clicking back to Google, because whether it's specific or not, it's they can go back. But when it's a keyword like engagement rings, the searcher intent is all over the place. So
of course.
we will definitely judge it by the majority. Obviously, they want to come on the website and see beautiful, bright engagement rings. But what I'm trying to say is, depending on the industry you're in, even when we rank first for that keyword, people would still want to go back and see what the competitors are offering, just because that's just the nature of jewelry. Everyone wants to make sure they're getting the best bang for buck. And I think that's where user experience is so important for a business, to reduce the fact that people are still going to go back and look at their competitors and see what else I can get. That's a very big part of marketing. That's the marketing that I'm in love with, Mariah, not trying to just sell on the first date.
Yeah,
Getting
of course.
people,
Building that
like
relationship.
100%. And providing I don't know, I'm a bit of a romantic marketer. That's what
We love it. We love it. I couldn't agree more. And I think, you know, we're in this, I spoke about this yesterday with someone, we're in this generation now where we want to educate ourselves before we make decisions. We want to know that exactly that decision that we're making is going to benefit us in the long term. So that is why we're hitting back and we're searching other sites, and we're just building our knowledge. And if I always say to my clients, if you can be a resource hub for your target audience, they're just going to kind of keep coming back to you. Might not be to purchase straight away, but it might be just to find out more information and you know, educate themselves. And if you're providing that education, you know, it's a matter of time before they start buying from you, because they see you as just a resource.
And my head just exploded. I mean, you can even, like, getting people onto the site, you can always use other marketing tools outside of SEO to retarget them back onto your website later on. So with the jeweler was the amount. Okay, yes, the one good thing that we did outside of SEO was to use retargeting campaigns, whether that's through social media, whether that's through Google AdWords. That's a little bit off topic, but
it works together.
So you don't just try to use SEO as a retargeting tool when it's where it's really a branding and first and foremost. And then you can use other online marketing tools to say, okay, especially Facebook does this with audience segmentation, and you can actually get people to come back on the website. That you can actually target ads just on people that have visited your website in the last 60 days or 100 you know. So you can get them back again later on, but it's getting it on there and having a great experience. So even if they do leave, they will remember you, because everyone remembers if, you know, a good experience generally. So if they had like a good experience on the site, people remember that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
And it goes back to sorry, I'll shut up.
No, go. No, I love your excitement.
It goes back to about not caring about Bob and caring more about the people that website is delivering. Bob's going to get hammered in this call, right? There's just no way around it. Bob's going to get hammered, right? Because it drives me nuts how many times I see this person got promoted, or let's welcome the new team member. Come on, guys, have a cake internally and forget about it. Or have a PR campaign on social media and then have a
Yeah, of
cake and
course.
do all that fluff that even on social media not many people care about, but it's a sales tool, right? But
Yeah.
on SEO, on the blog, no one cares about that. So going back to, focusing on the customer, that's what I'm saying. It's all of a mindset, but at least the takeaway that I'm going to drill home with the
Mm,
audience is I need to start thinking about my customer first. If they're not even thinking along those lines,
mm.
then they'll never produce great SEO, because great SEO only ever cares about the user first.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you've touched on that, because I think, what I've been talking about my last couple of weeks is doing that target research and actually finding out who your customer is, what they're engaging with, and how to actually, create content that's beneficial to them. If you're creating content that you think you'd like if you were them, well, you're never going to reach the right people, because you're not really getting into the minds of your customer and your client. So, touching on that kind of leads into, how does content marketing help with SEO? And I know you've spoken about this a lot, but I just want to know if there's anything else you have to add about, the content marketing game and SEO, and how they complement each other.
Yeah, big time. Look, content marketing is a voice in a very noisy world.
Mm,
So if you're not even content, it gives you the opportunity to speak. Whether that content might look different on your social media, it'll look different on for SEO terms. YouTube and the blog content is very hand in hand. The content I like to produce on TikTok is very different than my own SEO content.
mm,
So content marketing, even within itself, is very in depth, and it depends upon the medium. But it gives every business an opportunity to have a voice in a noisy world. If you're a small business, it just means that you're going to have to speak the loudest,
yeah.
and not just ramble on and talk about Bob, right? But actually, like everyone can look up this is even outside of SEO. I had a painter call me. I don't know if I told you this, but he's on Instagram. He called about, I don't know, like a year and a half ago now. And he said, look, I can't afford SEO. What else can I do myself on
Mm,
social media or SEO? I actually said to him, you're a painter. Yeah, I go, look, at the moment, mate, just build your brand on Instagram and Facebook and
yeah.
forget about SEO at the moment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think, so what he did was he said, okay, so how do I do that? How do I build content? What's my content marketing strategy?
Yeah.
I said, because I went on about how important content marketing is,
Yeah.
so I don't need to repeat myself, but they can look him up. It's Instagram.com/RX_painters.
Okay.
And he went from like 200 people. Now I think he's got like 3,000 followers. This guy
Wow.
took everything that I said and just
Yeah.
ran with it and actually created his own strategy and personality, which is important. So what I
Yeah.
said to him, every time you go to a job, Howard, every time you go to a job, that's a piece of content.
Yeah.
Because people like me that I don't even know, like I'm a marketer, but that's it. I don't know anything else. I can't like I'm learning how to like screw my toilet seat on straight, right? Like that's how crazy I got no idea, right? I'm not a handyman by any stretch of the imagination. Outside of marketing, I know very little about how anything else works. But people like me are your target audience. So even if you even if your people that aren't your target audience would find what you have to say interesting. So every time you go to a job, Instagram's only a minute with
Yeah.
IGTV of 15-minute clips. Go
Yeah.
to a job and talk about how awesome you are without actually saying how awesome you are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the show your expertise in your and like he went to every single job, Mariah, every single job, recorded. He
He's got
smashed.
heaps of content. It's awesome.
I know, he absolutely. And I said to him, look, every time you go to a job, that's a piece of content. Just split it
Yeah.
up, make it look a little bit different on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram is his main profile.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He's got a strategy for LinkedIn, which I've got to have a chat with him. Isn't really working for him, people. But he just has to refine that a little bit and remember that the LinkedIn audience are CEOs, marketers. They're professional. They just want to
Yeah.
see the fact that you can actually help save time and that you're a great painter. And
Yeah.
what can improve, what can a brand new coat of paint do to the value of my home? Like, just structure the content a
Yeah.
little bit different from LinkedIn. But on Instagram, man, go wild. The guy was
Yeah. Love
actually
it.
about A year ago, he came up 6 months after we had that conversation. He got back in touch and said, man, I'm absolutely swamped. So
How
with
good's that?
inquiries, he's swamped with inquiries. He couldn't even, I said to him, when I was selling my apartment, I'm like, Howard, can you come and paint? I actually thought everything that I gave him, but hey, I didn't mention this. I'm like, can you paint my balcony for free considering how busy you are now? And basically he said no, so I had to paint it myself. That's how busy the guy was.
Oh my
And I
God.
had to sell my my apartment in 2 months. So I had to get out as fast as possible. So I had to do it myself. And by watching his videos on, what primer to use, what technique to
Yeah.
use, and then you know what he did, Mariah, which I thought was absolutely. I go, dude, you are a marketer. You don't even know it.
Yeah, he's so amazing.
He actually had a virtual beer on Friday, and he tagged me in. He's like, credit to Andrew, blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm sorry, man, I don't drink alcohol. What do you? And he goes, okay, what do you drink? Kombucha. He changed his virtual beer and kombucha on Friday,
Oh my
and
God, I love it.
and that's a content strategy that first and foremost is all about the audience. And the funny thing is that a lot of the people that comment on it, well, I don't know so much now because I don't really follow him as closely as I did before. The guy's he's just on his own world now. I'm not going to let him do his thing. I don't need to interrupt him. He's got a hold on it, but his training wheels are off long time ago. But a lot of painters, his competitors, comment a lot.
Wow.
And a lot of his competitors have been influenced by him.
I see this. Yeah.
He's turning into an influencer. If he grows, and when people ask me, how do I become an influencer? Well, you don't become an influencer by thinking, how do I become an influencer? You become an influencer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. It's thought leadership, but that's not how you become an influencer. But he will become an influencer, and and I'm very sure he's not far away from these big companies sponsoring him, like Dulux and all the other painting brands.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure because he just goes and uses all these same brands. He talks about what brushes to use, what's a good brush to use. He's not getting paid to do any of that.
No, he should.
But he'll build an audience. He'll build an audience by giving away the free tips to the point where people are going to start following him at a rate where the big companies just, when they wise up to how important, when Dulux realizes how important it is for Howard to start talking about Dulux paint, because maybe they really don't understand how important that is. His audience, and not only people like me, but a lot of his competitors, a lot of other painters are also his followers, right?
Yeah, of course.
Which I think is crazy to think about how much influence he has.
Yeah.
When Dulux wakes up, and there's another big brand I got in my head, I just can't remember the name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. When they realize how important it is, like, they're crazy not to throw him some coin.
Yeah, he's been doing, like, I just looked, he only started in like late 2018, like maybe September, I think it was. So how amazing is that? Like, that is everyone needs to check out Howard's stuff and actually look at what he's doing and implement it into their own business, because that is just amazing.
The best marketing is common sense marketing, but thinking about the user first.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that story so much. That is so good. And that is just a perfect example of content marketing. And you don't have to spend big money. Like, he's literally just done it on his iPhone and just showed up every day and shows what he's doing. Like,
well, no one has any excuses, Mariah. Like, the devices now are ridiculous. Like I said, we talked about this call before we recorded, how like $100 gets you a microphone. Look, I don't like iPhones, but the reason that I recommend it is just all the audio equipment seems to work better on iPhone. So it's not very hard to get a microphone and get someone to record you on the job. The whole trading aspect is sort of, there's so much content. Like, my father-in-law is like a 35-year experience. He's not 35 years old. 35. He's been doing tiling for 35 years.
Yeah.
Right? And the amount of content he has on his phone, he just takes photos, and I'm like, yeah, but you're only showing me, man. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
This is a tiler from Italy, and they don't make them like that anywhere else in the world. Yeah. And like, it's just unbelievable amount of the work that he does. I'm like, but no one knows but us.
Yeah, exactly.
And but teaching an old dog new tricks. But it's what I want the audience to take away from Howard is there's a lot you can do for your own content, as long as you have the right mindset of, because I told Howard, forget about, I think, you know, the reason he's so busy is because he's not even asking to be busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not asking
content.
Creating the content that matters. I don't think just creating content, like, because you can create content about Bob.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
another thing I want people to.
Yeah.
I told you, Bob's getting hammered. So if focusing first and foremost on what delivers to my target audience, that's I'm just going to hammer that to people. Go, shut up, Andrew! Like, stop saying that. So,
yeah,
and then they're going to get
true.
people, and then start thinking, okay, what's my Howard story?
Yeah, and like Howard created his own strategy. We all have, we can all do that. And I think, what we don't like understand is, and we forget, is we spend time with our target audience daily. If we're showing up on Instagram or if we're doing client work, all we need to do is just ask the question, what do you want to know more about? Like, what are your problems? What are your troubles? I've said in like my current full-time job, in terms of creating content, we have people across the country talking to clients and customers every single day. What are they asking you? What are their pain points? And create content around that. Like you said about painting, like what primer do I need to use? Like, where do I begin? Where's the best place to buy paint? How do I pick my colors? Like, Howard's creating all that content because he knows that's what people want to know. And he knows that because he works with them every day. He talks to his clients. So
and the thing is, look, he's got a great personality, which for social media is important.
Yeah, of course.
But if you try yourself, folks, I think everyone has the ability. Look, if you're creating it, it's better. I'm so sorry, I keep getting all these notifications. If you can't afford anybody, at least start creating content around the user first. That's always going to be important. But if you're like me, that I suck at writing content, as you know, I'm much better at speaking than audio. Podcast seems to be my best medium.
Yeah, of course.
But even that, right? You can speak for half an hour and get it transcribed. You can talk for half, and get someone like Mariah to either transcribe it, because I suck at writing, or either get you to write a content, draft something up, and then get someone like you to come and fill in all the gaps or whatever. Like, there's so much opportunity for people out there.
Yeah.
But to start, but if you're not creating content, and if you're not thinking about how do I improve the design, like SEO is going to matter a lot more in terms of user experience than on social media. So social media is social media platforms are looking after the user experience. You just have to create the content that matters most to your audience. And then, but on SEO, there's a lot more to think about because it's your website, not YouTube. It's your website, not Instagram. So you have to think about all the other finer details that go along with improving user experience. And thinking about that design, great design doesn't mean it's functional design. Yeah. And that's the gentle balance, which maybe it's another day for another podcast.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think, we do spend a lot of time, building up our social media, but we also can't forget that our website is our shop. If we don't have a shop, your website is your store. So you wouldn't just leave your store with no products on the shelves. You wouldn't leave your store messy. You wouldn't, because that's not going to help. If someone's looking to buy, they're going to go to your website, and, they're not going to buy from you on Instagram unless you have it's very hard for someone to actually physically buy from Instagram. They're obviously going to go to a different platform, which is mainly your website. So if your website is outdated and doesn't have content on there, then people aren't going to know what you have to offer. So,
and then also a big part of the SEO, I don't know if we want to talk about it now because I know we're going to probably be running out of time, is when you do produce content for SEO, it's not so much an issue with social media, but with SEO, when you build your content, trying to work out how do I get people to link to it, link building and point one way. And I want to say that one way links to your website, not reciprocal going two ways. For SEO, it might make sense in some aspects to link to a supplier that then links back to you. At times that makes sense to do that, but you're going to need a lot of one-way links to your website. So the strategy that, and if you think that's difficult for the common person, it's difficult for SEOs. Let me be honest, right? Because everyone, when I started 15 years ago, people were driving Ferraris and renting it out as if it was a Toyota Corolla. People didn't know the value of a link. Now people are driving Toyota Corollas and renting it out as if it's a Ferrari, right? Because people understand now the value of a link. Yeah. So the values of links have gone up substantially, which is changing the landscape massively within the SEO community. A lot of SEO people that I started with in SEO, when these big Google algorithms updates came out, probably around 2012, 2013, 2014, these big algorithmic updates came out that squashed the idea of just manipulating the Google search algorithm using a very sophisticated black hat SEO strategies that will get results.
Yeah.
And then Google released, and look, Google hasn't done a perfect job. People can still get around it, but it's like forging it's like forging the Mona Lisa. There's so many people out there can forge a Mona Lisa rather than paint their own, which is crazy. Like they're so good at painting, but they're spending time forging rather than actually spending time creating their own thing, which is just mind-boggling itself. But anyway, so there's a lot of talented black hat that will try to get around that algorithm, that Google's algorithm and quality and sort of a spam detection software. But it's not like what it used to be in 20. So a lot of SEOs that I started with are gone and they just left the industry. Right. So getting links in even within SEO separates the men from the boys. Like and the girls from the ladies, if I want to be politically correct. Right. So like a lot of the top SEOs will sort of will have their own strategies. And I would say it doesn't matter how great your SEO is at coming up with legitimate white hat strategies to get links to your website. If the end game isn't to generate links naturally on its own, you're just always going to play catch up. And you never, which is what our slogan says, unleash our clients' maximum potential. That's what we're trying to do at all times. And so if you look at any successful business in the Fortune 500 or any successful website or business on Google that is ranking in competitive industries, I can tell you, Mariah, they have a very sophisticated, obviously they've got a lot of brand, like if you're Tiffany, you got massive brand awareness and exposure, but the end game, even for SEOs, and this is a huge, huge takeaway, even for SEOs, I think, in my opinion, is if you're not building strategies and campaigns and outreach to get links naturally on their own as an end game, you're completely being disingenuous, because everything we do from a link building perspective is only supplementary.
Yeah.
So if the client produces a piece of great content, let's say you're a wedding venue and you're talking about the top 6 suppliers, you might show a florist, you might show like a picture. You're not linking to them, but you're just mentioning their business name. You're mentioning a photo about who they are, some content, a brief, blah, blah, blah. You mentioned the photographer, the videographer. You mentioned like whatever, and then you say, look, I'm not linking to you guys, but we are promoting your business name on our website. Then you can approach those companies and say, look, if you want to link to us, let's say the list is 10. Yep. Then you can then the everyday business owner of a website can then go, okay, well, I've just mentioned these 10 great suppliers on a blog post that we deal with and that we recommend, because obviously they're our suppliers or whatever. Maybe I'm going to ask them to see if they want to link to that article. And generally they might, because it's like it's promoting, look, this wedding venue is a massive venue. So it also depends upon your own brand awareness. That's where the link building strategy becomes advanced. It becomes, actually, I've generated probably an extra 500 links by working out who's mentioning my clients' names and not linking to us, and then writing a very polite email saying, thank you so much for featuring this client. We really appreciate it. But we just noticed that you're not linking, there's no link to our website that your users can click through to, because they've got to make it all about them, right?
Yes.
They're linking to us, right? That's the strategy.
Yeah.
It is about them, that they can click through to. If you wouldn't mind adding a link, here's the link. Thank you so much. We highly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that is tiresome. It's tedious. It just, sometimes I want to strangle myself, but
it works.
Like, you won't get everybody.
Yeah, of course.
But this is where real world business strategy and entrepreneurship matters. Because if you're good to your suppliers and you've got a leadership team, this is what I say within SEO. This is a big part of SEO, working with clients that are really great entrepreneurs, as I've found in my 13 years, makes a big, big difference, right? It makes or breaks the campaign. So this company's got such a great reputation that when I do all this email outreach, they come back and say, oh, wow, yeah, of course I will deal with that company. They're fantastic. Oh, we love them. And I'll mention the owner's name. We love working with you guys. So even outside in the real business world, if you're good to those people, then they're more likely to link to you. And that's where SEO and entrepreneurship, which I talk about the importance of connecting those bridges, getting the most out of the entrepreneurs. But that's going into more SEO specific, but from an owner perspective, figuring out who's mentioning you and, following up links.
And it's funny you say that. Yeah, because I listen to a lot of Neil Patel's content. And he still does it. He still emails people when he's linked to them. He's like, it takes time, but it works. And there's no quick way to get around it. You've just got to put in those little 1%ers that, really build your links. And I think that's a really, some people are like, yeah, but how do I do that? And you've just got to build those connections with the people that
you build connections. And then you can use, there's a tool called Mentionscom, which I think you mentioned you want to discuss tools and stuff. So there's like a Mentions.com, I think it is. Hang on, no, maybe it's Mention. I like to do this manually myself, but I'm just a nut. I like to do things. It's called Mention. Sorry, Mention.com. And that if you can subscribe, it does have a price to it, but if you don't have the SEO skills to sort of use advanced operators in Google and finding out your own stuff, this is probably the quickest way. And I'll probably go back to use it anyway eventually because it does help a lot.
Of course.
I found it very useful in my time, and that will give you links, brand mentions, and then you just can go and follow up. Okay, does this website that's mentioning me, are they linking to me? And then if they're not, you just email and outreach. But all these strategies at the end of the day, like this all matter. Like you can do this. It doesn't matter whether you're a Fortune 500 or if you're a small business. Probably better if you are, because there'll be more brand mentions. But it all starts with user experience and content. And building relationships and digitally networking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you summed it up really well. So as we come to the end, I really want to know some of the myths that you come across with SEO that people, I know you've mentioned a few in the past, but what are the myths around SEO that people probably think, oh yeah, this is my idea of SEO and it's, just either changed or not true.
That Bob can do your SEO for $500. Right. Bob can't do your SEO for $500. Not good SEO anyway. Some of the myths now, look, a lot of SEOs a lot of companies now, they do talk about the importance of content marketing. But anything under like $1,000, I would probably prefer your audience listening to yourself, listening to Neil Patel, and listening to Brian Dean, listen to some of the top SEOs and do your own. I think that would be the best takeaway, that you can. The myth that you can't do your SEO is not true. You can. It's going to be very tiresome and you're going to have to work long hours to learn it. Also, there's not cheap SEO is bad SEO. It's cheap. Any SEO that does not involve you as a business owner, anyone that says, hey, in other words, they won't say this directly, but it sounds appealing to a lot of clients and they've got caught out a lot. Hey, Bob, let me do your SEO for you. You don't have to do anything. Just pay us $1,400 a month. That should raise red flags. Because you need to be involved and you need to understand the strategy, the approach. Think about, work with your SEO, developing a content strategy that's in line with your brand. And there's no shortcuts. There's no elevator to success. You got to take the stairs, mate. And the SEO now, the value of a link has changed the game. Which the whole concept of the links alone says you can't do cheap SEO anymore. Because cheap SEO, what that will mean is though a lot of, unfortunately, we've had a client that left us after a decade to do SEO with another company and thinking they can get it done cheaper, which is cool. I don't mind. Good luck to you. But they were putting his links on what they call private blog networks. So what these large agencies do,
Mm-hmm.
small agencies can do them as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no restriction. It just means that what happens is they buy sites and
Yeah.
then they build crappy content on them, and then
Yeah.
they link back to
Yeah.
the client with all the different keywords.
Yeah. I've
That's,
heard of this, and it's just not really working anymore. Like it was back,
it's
worked
not
really well, and now it's just like people want to read good content.
it's not that it doesn't work anymore. It can actually get you banned
Yeah,
completely
of
off
course.
Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Google did this 10 years ago with BMW. BMW were doing some shonky SEO stuff. And I think it was just throwing their weight around from a Google perspective. But
Yeah.
they basically wanted to send the message, if we can do it to BMW, we'll do it to anybody.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, this is
Yeah.
probably, I think it was like back in like 2004 or whatever it was. It was a long time ago. But
Yeah.
that was the message that it sent.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
Yeah.
if we can do it to anybody. So look, there's no shortcut to SEO. And I would say do it yourself over doing cheap SEO.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. I think a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners look at SEO and think it's really daunting, and it is hard, and understanding it is complex, but like anything, you can learn it with time, and just like really putting in the time to educate yourself. And you create like a lot of easy to understand content around SEO. Before I started working with you, I had no idea in terms of the different levels of SEO. I knew the very basics, and then reading and listening to the content that you've been producing, and working alongside
Not
with
enough.
you, it's it's still like, it makes it simple. And I think today you've really made SEO, although it is complex, seem really achievable for people. So before we close out, I just want to know, like you said, some of the tools. You mentioned one that people can use to help improve their SEO.
Well, I would definitely like the two that I would probably, based on this call, and I think it would be a good balance between the technical SEO, which is a lot to do with the on-page stuff. There's a site called sitebulb.com. This is pretty good. It gives you all the insights and the easy to read recommendations. I like to use another program called Screaming Frog, but it's pretty advanced, but
Yep.
it crawls the website, looks for problems.
Yep.
I probably, if I was a business owner that wasn't going to employ an SEO and do it themselves, probably you prefer to use something like Sitebulb, I think.
Yeah, of course.
Depending on the size of the site. And I would probably use Mention.com. That would be the two tools. Try to balance. You can also use another program called SEM Rush.
Yep.
And that's a pretty good tool for keyword research, which we didn't get into, which is a massive part of SEO.
Yeah.
Figuring out what people are searching for, right?
Yeah, of course.
That's sort of the game.
Yeah.
Working out what the audience is asking. So there's semrush.com, ahrefs.com is one of my favorite tools that gives you more analysis on who's linking to you and gives you a bit of insights into that. And the other free tools that obviously are a must, Google Analytics and Search Console.
Yeah, cool. Well, I know you've got some content around keywords and how to search for people searching. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes, because I know you've done a YouTube video on it that one that I worked on with you. So that makes it quite easy to understand how to find what people are searching for. So and I've touched on this a couple of times in some of my content, but I'll link to that, because I think obviously keywords is super important. I just quickly want to ask you then, what are your, around keyword stuffing? Can you just kind of explain what not to do with this? Because I think it's still, people aren't really sure, what it means to.
I'm sensing that people are asking you to pack keywords in an article. Is that right? Is that what I'm sensing?
Yeah.
I thought I knew that's where you're going. Look, keyword stuffing is dead, right? So anyone, just because you increase the amount of keyword density, again, it's a mindset game. Go back to the mindset of thinking about the user first. There's no point hiring someone like Mariah to write you a piece of content that is just written for a robot. This is 2008 stuff. Now, should you include keywords? Let's say the keyword is emergency plumbing tips.
Yeah.
It makes sense for Mariah, which she will, is to include those sorts of keywords within the first top 100 words, right? Google does look for that, because the reason that that's important, as you know, is that searcher intent would be, I just want to read an article that is structured in a way that it's that obviously there's a massive strategy around even how the content should be structured and laid out on a web page to keep people reading, to keep people engaged. Keyword stuffing is just completely off the deep end. So you want to write the content as best for the user, but even within that, the reason that Google looks at finding those keywords within the top 100 words is because people are expecting to see those words when they first load up a web page.
Yeah,
okay.
of course.
But if an article is like 1,000 words, 2,000 words, you hire Mariah to build you a piece of content that is going to bring the most amount of impact to your audience and generate engagement. Forget keyword density, think engagement. Keyword like a 2 to 3%. Write content naturally for someone to basically want to engage with the article and read the article and stay, because Google's going to look at also how long someone's staying on the website for. So when you are building a piece of content, forget keyword smashing. What you want to do, if the article is about, emergency plumbing tips, include some images around, maybe if you're in a plumber, showing some pictures where you've helped save a client, in those situations, or how you fix things. Show a YouTube video, embed them all. So if Mariah writes you a 2,000 word or 1,000 or whatever it is, you can embed a lot of images and embed a lot of video, because then what Google looks at is how long did you stay on that website for?
Yeah, of course.
And so then using user experience to try to get them to the next article that Mariah has written for you, right? Not about Bob, right? So that's what I would be focusing on. Look, as far as writing content for robots, which a lot of the time is what keyword densities and stuffing is all about, it's just you're wasting money and time.
Yeah.
It's already hard enough to write an engaging article the right way, but if you're thinking about it along those lines, well, then you're running a race, but you're going in reverse, not forward, not to the finish line.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah.
Going backwards. You might as well not write anything or create anything.
Yeah.
That isn't about the customer first. And now with machine learning and artificial intelligence, which is our next conversation, that's just that. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing else to say. Like, it's a content. This is a game where it's all about. It's already a noisy world. Don't add your voice, which is just mumbling.
Yeah,
it's already noisy. All right.
Yeah.
So it's already difficult enough to get seen in a very attention-seeking world that we live in.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for touching on that, because I think, in terms of keywords, everyone says, I want these keywords and I know I need to search for these keywords. So, just think about the user first before creating any piece of content. So
just quickly, and then who might want to link to that article? That's a big part of getting it.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Two questions before you start creating content. So before we go, is there anything you want to add around SEO that you think will benefit? I think we've touched on quite a lot, and we've made it, I think really easy to understand such a complex topic.
Honestly, I think I pretty much have drilled it in that I really want the takeaway for everyone to be, UX, user experience first, customer first, searcher intent first, then content marketing. And in that sort of the importance of design. Obviously, the one thing I didn't touch on enough, I don't think, is the importance of how your website looks and feels on mobile. The majority of traffic. So that's a big part of it. Use the tools that you have available. Feel free to ask me questions. A lot of people call me. They what I liked about Howard, he was just upfront. He just said, "Look, I can't afford your services, but can you still help me?" I said, "Sure, man, no worries."
Yeah,
right, at least he was upfront, right? So you can go around and ask questions. There's so much content on YouTube. There's so much content on podcasts around SEO. There's just an embarrassment of riches of available content. But as long as the takeaway today that your audience has received is, I need to start thinking about what matters most to my customer. Then I've done my job. Podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So where can people find you? I know you do create some content. As you said, you need to do more, but I know you are quite active on social media. So do you want to just give your socials and your website a plug so people can find out more?
Yeah, it's omegadigital.com.au. If you land on that website, I actually have all my links to Instagram. It'll be easier because Instagram, I think it's omegadigital.au. But just go to the website, omegadigital.com.au. My email's andrew@omegadigital.com.au. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to
Yeah, Andrew, he
It's
knows his stuff, and he is more than happy to provide the answers. So thank you so much for joining.
no
Yeah, I
problem.
think it just really sums up SEO. It's such a hard topic to talk about, and I think it's quite daunting for people. So thank you for sharing your insight.
No problem. My pleasure. Anytime. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mariah. Thanks.